I will tell you that this was God's plan for me more than it was ever mine. My goals back then, I can remember thinking how cool it would be if I could end my career as a detective and maybe a sergeant. That was because those were realistic goals back then, especially for females. My journey began years ago. My parents moved here from Raleigh when I was 5 years old. Started school at Garner, the old Garner Elementary, which is now the GPAC. Went through the Garner school system, graduated from Garner High School. It was Garner Senior High School back then in 1992. My senior year of high school, I had originally planned to go to Campbell University, pharmacy school, but took an elective class my senior year. It was a law and justice class, and really changed my perspective and outlook. And I thought, this is kind of interesting. This might be something I would be interested in. And then, having worked at the local dry cleaners all through high school and college, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of the police officers in town. And through those relationships, we just started talking about police work and what it was like. And once they realized that I was a student getting ready to graduate from state, they were like, hey, we're always looking to recruit. Why don't you come and apply? Better yet, why don't you come do a ride-along? And so right after I graduated from college, I did my first ride-along, and I thought, you know what? This is something I'm really interested in doing. So applied with the police department shortly thereafter, and the rest is history. You didn't have as many females in law enforcement as you do now. We've seen an increase over the years. I know growing up, I didn't have a lot of interaction and experience with female officers. I had a girlfriend in elementary school that her mother was a deputy sheriff, and I thought that was the coolest thing because I'd never seen a female police officer before. But in 97, I was really fortunate. When I came on, we had 6 or 7 women here at the department then. I was actually on my first patrol platoon with 2 other women. That was a really good experience. But historically, over the last 24 plus years, we have seen a steady increase, but not to the extent that we would like to see as far as representation within our police department and within the law enforcement profession in general. It's important that the demographics of the police department mirror that of the community in which you serve for a couple of reasons. One, it helps instill trust within the community, between the community and law enforcement, and also it helps people relate to those who look more like them and have similar life experiences. And it's not just for women, it's for minority representation as well. And I know within the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen an increase of about 25% in minority recruitment and hiring. Right now, we have just about 10% female representation at the Garner Police Department and just under 25% minority representation. So we're making strides, but it's obviously something we want to continue to work towards to make sure that our police department is representative of our community.
So let me just say, it's a real privilege and honor for me to have the opportunity to swear in our new chief tonight. That's one of the privileges that the mayor has from time to time. She could have used someone else, but she chose me. So at any rate, thank you so much. If you will, place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I think, according to statistics, roughly 12% of law enforcement are females, and even fewer than that are in leadership positions. So back in December, I actually joined the rank of the top 3% who are actually females in leadership positions. When I started my career, I never envisioned that I would end my career as the chief of police here in Garner. Started out in patrol, served in patrol for about the first 6 or 7 years before I was promoted to sergeant. My goals back then, I can remember thinking how cool it would be if I could end my career as a detective and maybe a sergeant, because those were realistic goals back then, especially for females. In 2004, served as a sergeant over patrol and over on our impact team. Spent some time as a sergeant in our criminal investigations division, and when I was promoted to lieutenant, I served as the criminal investigations division commander for a couple of years. attended a lot of training over the years. I was fortunate enough to finish my master's in 2015 in justice administration. Was able to attend some pretty extensive leadership training and was promoted to captain in 2017, where I served over the Administration Bureau. I served in that role for 3 years and then transitioned over to the Operations Bureau, and that's where I was serving until I was promoted to chief in December of 21.
Not to undermine my qualifications, because I can assure you, I'm qualified. The female part was just the cherry on the top. Being first is a great accomplishment, but it has very little meaning if I don't lead the way for other women to follow. So tonight, swearing in, it's not just about me. It's about Judy, it's about Marie, Abby, Brittany, Sarah, and Phelan, the 6 other female officers at our police department. It's about them and the other women in the Garner community who may be considering a career in law enforcement and see my accomplishment as an inspiration for them to pursue a career in law enforcement.
So the 30 by 30 pledge was something that started back in, I believe it was September, I think is when we signed on, September of 21. And it's basically a push to increase representation of females in police academies and the law enforcement profession in general to 30% by the year 2030. And so I know there are a couple of other agencies in North Carolina that have signed on to that, but that was something that we at the police department thought was important and wanted to be part of to make sure that we can make some changes within our organization and our community as well. I think for me, in law enforcement, one of the most significant accomplishments or achievements, something that I've been part of, is I truly am happy to see those beneath me and those that I've worked with be successful. I had the opportunity to supervise our impact team back in like 2010, 2011. One of the significant accomplishments of that for me is that every one of those officers, with the exception of one who's no longer employed here, have either been promoted to the rank of corporal, sergeant, and a few to lieutenant. So it has been a very rewarding experience, and succession and development of staff, or development of our staff, is one of the things that is really important to me, and so I take a lot of pride in that.